Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the AI Guide. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, click the link below, get the free resource on AI. You're going to see why today. And everything in the resource is free. And if you get that resource, that will give you the opportunity to participate again for free in my beta course, the AI Safe Career Pivot. And again, you're about to see why. So thanks so much for tuning in. Finally get my book on Amazon, The Beginner's Guide to AI. It gives you a quick history of AI, but thorough, and AI's current impact on 10 industries today. And it only takes 2 to 3 hours to read the whole book. It's short, it's sweet, and it gives you everything you need to know. So check that out also. And thanks again so much for tuning in. So today we are doing part 2 of a very, very important series about a major breakthrough in artificial intelligence. And we did part 1 last Sunday, and we ended up that video with labeling this breakthrough a foundation model. So what makes a foundation model different than everything that came before it? And again, my apologies, but I have to do some reading because there's so much information here, courtesy of The Economist, and it's very dense. And for you to get the whole picture of what's happened, you need to hear it as the article states it in certain sections. So why is a foundational model different? Because it's flexible. The new models can be reassigned from one type of problem to another with ease by means of fine-tuning. So all my viewers know that historically AIs were very, very narrow. They could only solve one problem and one problem only. These foundation models are a breakthrough in that they can be used for many, many different problems with relatively easy fine-tuning. The article states AI is moving into its industrial age. The analogy suggests potentially huge economic impacts, all of which we've talked about here, but you need to hear it from someone other than me. The key attributes of general-purpose technologies include rapid improvement in the core technology, broad applicability across different sectors, and spillover into unexpected sectors. This is exactly what's happening with AI. Mr. Etzioni, the head of the Allen AI Research Institute, we mentioned him last time, Paul Allen, former co-founder of Microsoft, who unfortunately passed away at a relatively young age. But Mr. Etzioni is at the entire hub of AI. He says 80% of AI research today is focused on these foundation models. Last year, American venture capitalists invested a record $115 billion in AI startups. This is a massive number. 115 billion is more than the revenue of most of the biggest companies in the world. The article goes on to say, some worry that the technology's heedless spread will further concentrate economic and political power, upend whole sectors of the economy in ways which require redress, meaning fixing, even if they offer benefits to society, and embed bias even deeper into the hidden workings of society. There are also perennial worries about models going rogue in some ways as they get bigger and bigger. Says Ian Hogarth, a British entrepreneur and co-author of The State of AI, which is a widely read report, we are building a supercar before even inventing the steering wheel. And we've talked about all this stuff, folks. You know it. we're talking about whole sectors of the economy becoming unemployed. We're talking about how are they going to survive the AI Safe Career Pivot free beta course. And we've talked about how technologists like to invent stuff without any consideration of the consequences, and that's exactly what's happening. All modern machine learning models are based on neural networks. The AI breakthrough of the late 2000s and early 2010s came about because computers had become powerful enough to run large algorithms, and the internet provided huge amounts of training data. Part of what has allowed the field now to move beyond already impressive achievements is more and more processing power. We've talked about these GPUs by NVIDIA. Over the 2010s, the performance of GPUs improved at an impressive rate. So Google invented the software called BERT, which we talked about before, which was the first foundation model. The new approach meant that programs can pay attention to the patterns they have learned by reading text rather than having to work through word by word. And we've also talked about this, self-supervised learning rather than being taught by pre-labeled data sets. After a few billion compare, guess, and improve cycles, these algorithms can learn on their own. It has since turned out that all these clever techniques can be applied to many other things other than text, including pictures, videos, and even large molecular, meaning chemistry and medical data sets. The discovery that these models work better the bigger they get turn an exciting new approach into a complete breakthrough. For example, OpenAI's GPT-2, which was released in 2019, had been fed 40 gigabytes of data equal to 7,000 published works of fiction and had 1.5 billion parameters. GPT-3, which came out only 1 year later in 2020, had 570 gigabytes and boasts 175 billion parameters. It handily outperformed GPT-2 on established tests and boasted skills for which its predecessor had no precedent. This is in 1 year. The most immediately practical of these brand new skills was writing computer code. This is because GPT-3 had been exposed to the bulk of computer code on the internet at the time. So all this ties into everything we've talked about. We've talked about how the confluence of cloud computing, improved processors, better and bigger algorithms, we talked about better, now bigger, had transformed the field of AI and has genuinely put AI on steroids. In the very last segment that started this series, we talked about the trillion parameter model that the company in the UK is working on. So this is a complete game changer, AI that can be used to solve any problem with minor tweaking rather than very, very narrowly tailored AI focused on a specific solution. Next time, we'll talk more about where this takes us. Thanks so much for tuning in. Click the link below, get your free resource. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and get my book on Amazon. It's a great, easy read. Thank you so much for tuning in and paying attention to this critical information that we're delivering through this special series. Take care.